Yeah. Yeah. So before I start, let's introduce to my team. So let's begin with me. Myself, Rajeshwar. I work with the Department of Health, Australian government, and my roles are pretty much straightforward. I work into this data browsing division, and we do a lot of projects on healthcare. I also work as a data scientist for one of the AI company in Australia. So that's a like an secondary role where I do my regular work. So yeah, based on the requirements, we get the Python projects as well. So myself and we got Ayan and Asmita in this group as well. So we all are part of this Gayatri Technologies. I got my own startup in Australia. There are two startups, I would say. So just to introduce myself, I can show it over here. So I think you guys are able to see my screen. So Gayatri Technologies has been started 3.5 years ago in Australia, and we do have another one like a G Technologies as well. So most of the projects which we do for the government organizations, so we got multiple customers across Australia, especially the government, federal government in Australia. So starting with this Department of Home Affairs, Federal Police, or Service Australia, or ATO for Australian government. So we do got multiple departments, and we got the manpower working for the departments, and then mostly like I would say the consulting. And we do got a smaller team in India. As I would say, I would want to introduce to one of these data scientists is Ayan. Ayan is our offshore expert who is based in India. And we got Asmita as well. So that's the reason I said Rajeshwar, Ayan, and Asmita. So we are into the data science space, especially. I do got the big data experts who work for the government departments over here. But especially since Python, we focus mostly on the data science. So that's the reason I thought of introducing the Python team or like a data science team. So coming to the, okay, so I think you guys have some introduction by now. So I started my graduation in India, then I started my journey into IT 16 years ago, and then moved to Australia 12 years ago. So we recently created one Udemy course as well, just in case if someone wants to go through the Udemy course and they can go through it, like learn Python using Amazon SageMaker. Well, if someone is totally new to Python and SageMaker, don't worry. You guys will come to know in the future sessions why we went through this course and why we launched it onto the Udemy. We launched it 2 months ago, but Python using SageMaker, that to the Amazon, that's a key point which we want to discuss at the end of the session. But just in case if someone wants to learn the Python using SageMaker, they can go through it. But okay, let's begin with the actual topics. So here, the list of topics which we're going to cover in Python. We have the vast list, but before that, we'll also cover what is Python and why Python, and how it is different from the other programming languages, and where does the Python fits in the data science space. So that's what I'm going to explain in next few minutes. So let's begin with, for example, a of course, the content list and everything, I'm going to share it across. What are the topics which we're going to cover. So before that, what I would like to say is, let's talk about the artificial intelligence or the data science space first. Why? Because nowadays everyone wants to know, okay, what is Python and what it is, where it's useful for. So before we jump into the Python, so what I say is Python is widely used in the data science space exclusively. So especially if I would say that what's the difference and all, let me show you a small document where I would say how does that fit in. So for example, if I want to say, okay, what are the differences between these two tools, or like in data analytics or machine learning or AI. So if you look at the diagram, it's simple, very simple, as a whole, we call as an artificial intelligence. So at the end of the day, how the data science will fit in means we got a data analytics. That too, if someone is totally new, then I would say like Power BI or ClickSense or ClickView or like in Cognos or like in reporting tools, they all fall under the data analytics space. So like in big data, again, if someone is totally new, it's like an again Hadoop, if you have heard of the term Hadoop. So Hadoop especially and all the big data tools fall under these big data tools. So here there's a overlap, right? You got the data science, which is being overlapped with the machine learning. So nowadays, so as a whole, as a big picture, it comes into the data science space. And coming to this Python, so Python will be used either in the machine learning coding or in the deep learning, or if you want to utilize in the big data space, there's something called a PySpark. If you guys have heard, there's a tool called there's an applications like PySpark, like in Python and Spark. Spark comes under the big data space. So there also people start using this Python. So this is like a rough introduction. So and coming to the portions, okay, how does people utilize this Python in various domains and various tools and applications? So I got some pretty straightforward definitions of artificial intelligence. If someone wants to get to know, like, and what are the tools and applications which they use. So you can go through the definitions at the later stage as well, but at the moment, as I said, AI means artificial intelligence. So what we are trying to do at the end of the day is AI is a big picture. Within AI, we talk about the machine learning and the neural networks, and we talk about deep learning. These are the terminologies. But the main idea is without knowing Python or like in tool, either it could be like in Python or in R programming, is someone either one of the tool needs to be we need to be familiarized with to start using these tools, or like in start using these applications, AI applications or the machine learning projects or something. So for example, why Python? Why not R programming? In the sense, R is mostly used in the research projects, either in the universities or in the research or scientific research cases. But Python is pretty much easy to learn. If you guys are familiarized with programming, that's good. Or else if you are totally new, that's also not an issue. Why? Because it's Python is very easy to learn. So the reason what I'm trying to say is even someone says, okay, what is machine learning? So what we are trying to do is we're going to train an algorithm, or we're trying to train a code where we're trying to implement our own logics, and the machine can take control out of it. So nowadays, you guys have utilized the smartphones. So everyone knows that, okay, you got a iPhone or a Google Pixel phone or like a Samsung phone. And what's happening when I talk to Google phone or when I talk to the iPhone, it's trying to respond to you. So that is like interaction. How does it know? That means the application has been trained. And so then the application will respond to you. Uh, uh, if I ask something to the Google phone, it responds to me. In the same case, if I ask something to an iPhone, it responds to me, like an A Siri or something. So the reason is already been trained. So for training a program or training an algorithm or something, so someone like a human interaction to be there. So like in Python developer or like in data scientist who is an expert in machine learning applications. So they train the applications. So then it immediately responds. So this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to train an application. So nowadays, uh, we got a smart or like in smart devices and also the smart cars as well. For example, like Elon Musk has created the self-driving cars as well. It's all been trained. So once the program has been trained, so it follows the set of instructions. So it's all related to the artificial intelligence and machine learning. So that's a main focus, I would say. And there's one more thing, it's called neural networks. I would say neural networks is upcoming, and it's hugely and vastly used. So we'll talk about that in the later uh, classes as well. And there's something called deep learning. So the main advantage of learning Python is you can get into this data science space, or else someone can get into this like a data analyst into this data science space, or it can be anything. A lot of applications in a lot of fields. Here I'm just focusing on just one portion of healthcare. For example, here Python or like in data science can be like in machine learning codes can be used in radiology, imaging, telehealth, and clinical care. And because of the COVID, I think in India, many people might have used this telehealth services also, like taking an appointment with a doctor on over the phone and taking the prescriptions. Why? Because they can't meet the doctors face to face because of the COVID, right? That's an advantage. So here in the imaging, also digital imaging, there's a lot of improvements in the digital imaging sector. We have done multiple projects on imaging as well, digital imaging, and the clinical care. This is especially used for the research area. So, and radiology, again, it's related to imaging. So you might think, okay, why so many things, and what's the other details in other information in the sense, for example, like projects related to Alzheimer's, or like in predicting in blood sugar levels, you using the wearable sensors, or like in enhancing image analysis, you know. So we don't need to worry much about this, but coming to the end of the course, once we finish off 6 to 8 weeks, you'll come to know, okay, why this uh, Python, where the Python being used, and what are the advantages, and how well you guys can utilize the skill sets. That's what you'll come to know. So in the beginning, it will be like in black and white, but at the end of the day, once you finish up this course, it will be very much useful to everyone. And so before I get into in depth, so first of all, let's talk about the tools, how you're going to run the tool. Like, okay, I'm talking about the Python, but uh, before I jump into the Python tools in depth. So how we're going to utilize the tools. So there are tools or the internet, like if you got a Google Gmail ID, it's fair simple. Google Collab, you type in Google Collab, or you can note it down. It's like Google Collab. So it's fair simple. You don't need to install anything. If you have the Gmail account, you just use type in Google Colab, and you get a first URL, like in collab.research.google.com. It says Google Colab. Use this link, and it's good to go to start writing the application. So for example, here it says examples, recent, Google Drive, or Git, or upload. Don't worry about that. There's a first option is like new notebook. We just like a normal notebook. We thought about the Google create something like a Google new notebook. So use new notebook. Then you get the pretty straightforward screen to write the Python applications or Python codes, right? So the extension from Python, you get like an IPY and B. Okay. So whatever I type in here, it gives the results like a 5 + 6 and say hit run. It just calculates and immediately gives results. So what's happening over here is like an interactive. Okay. So this is one of the ways where you can see is collab dot so you got 11. So it's collab.research .google. So again, I'm repeating, it says Google Collab. So if you want to utilize this tool straightforward without installing any software, okay? So collab.research.google.com to straight away start writing the Python codes and start utilizing the tools. The other way around is if you got a desktop or a laptop. So what I would say is there's a tool called Anaconda Jupyter. Okay, so Anaconda software. Okay, I would say anaconda.com. So you might get some of the different tools or websites also, but type in that Anaconda software. All right. So when I say Anaconda software, you get like an Anaconda. So within this, you just need to go to the products and look for individual edition. Don't go with this commercial softwares. Go with this individual edition. It's freeware. So it says your data science toolkit or say download, right? So once you guys download the software, so once you hit the downloads, it says whether you want a Windows machine or a Mac or a Linux. If someone has got Apple, then they can go with the Mac operating system, or someone who has Windows, that too. Just be careful that if you got a Windows system, and make sure whether it is a 32-bit or a 64-bit. And how do I know that whether my machine is 32-bit or 64-bit? Is like within the Windows, you get something like an my desktop or properties. If I show you in a simple way, so if I go to my desktop and say my computer, say right click and properties, it's okay, it's not giving from there, or let me, yeah, this PC and the properties. Okay, so that was earlier on the shortcut. So for example, here it says system type is 64-bit. This is what the important point which you guys need to note down. So if it is like a 64-bit operating system, then please install, okay, the 64-bit version. So here you pick up a 64-bit. If it is like a desktop or a laptop with 32-bit, okay, if it is a 32-bit, so please install the 32-bit version of the software. Okay, so it's very straightforward. If I select 64-bit, for example, so it starts downloading. Okay, so you don't need to buy. Why? Because that's for the commercial purpose. Okay, if you want to, if you're running a company, then that's a different case. But here, we just need to use it for a single PC or single desktop. Then download it. Once you're downloaded it, then make sure that you got enough space on your machine also, like an C drive or a D drive. So then you install it. Assume like a install it, or before that, I'll just show it. Okay, it's taking time. So on my machine, it's already been installed. Assume like you downloaded it and selected for installation, double click, so it will straightforward. No need to configure anything, straightforward installation. So in my case, already installed it. So let's use it straightforward. So I got something called
There is an echo.
echo. Echo for everyone, or it's like an every. Okay, let me. Okay, is it clear now? And
Still an echo actually. I
so
think you should mute on. You should mute the Zoom.
I don't think it will be a. The voice won't be recorded there. Is it too much echo? Or,
It's manageable. It's manageable actually.
Okay, sorry for that, guys. The reason is
Okay.
I'm using Google Meet, and I'm using Zoom for recordings wherein I need to unmute in both the cases. So that's what I'm going to say. So okay, I'll go slowly. Then I think it should be manageable. So just as I said, once I got the installation file, like an exe, I just double click it and then hit for the installation. Okay, you get the screen like a next, next, next. Just please go through the screens, and at the end of the day, you'll get this symbol at the bottom. Why? Because it's already been installed. For example, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, you can use those things. You can use those things. Don't worry. Okay, I'm just trying to. Uh, yes, there is. Why? Because the PyCharm is which will give like a 30 days trial version, and if you got unlimited, that's very good. Yeah, the different advantage in Anaconda is you can get an unlimited. There won't be any restrictions like in 30 days trial or something like that. And PyCharm, if you go to this professional or something, you give this 30 days. And if you have the free version, that's well and good. You can use, there's multiple tools. That's what I'll come to that point. Okay. So here, as I said, once you hit the installation after the download has happened, so what I would say is, if I say show in folder, you get an exe file. If it is 64-bit, it brings a 64 bit. If it's 32-bit, it shows 32-bit. Then once I install, and I get an icon on my desktop and also on the toolbox as well, if I hit like an Anaconda Navigator, so it takes some time and it pops up the menu. Okay, so I'm just trying to, so it's it takes time to load. And if it is the latest version, don't worry, don't remind me later. So it's takes a while to show, and it's there on my second screen, I think. Yeah, it's it's came up. Okay, I'll just put it on the screen. Yeah, this is what the window which you get. Okay, so once you hit the once I try to open it up, so you get the Anaconda Navigator. Don't worry that you got so many options over here. There's only one which we can utilize it. We got multiple options, but what we are interested in, like in Jupyter Notebook, say launch. Okay. Just in case if you guys wants to install, this is a way. And yeah, straightforward. I get the options to write the codes, and you got the Jupyter environment ready. Straightforward, right? So again, I'm saying that Anaconda, if you have the space on your machine, then please install. Why? Because everything will be saved on your local machine. And if you think that, no, I got very little space on my machine, then go ahead and utilize this Google Collab, like a collab.research. That's a site it brings up. Then start utilizing the code or writing the code. Okay. So you don't need to install anything over here if you use Google Colab. And just in case, if you have the space on your machine, a laptop or desktop, then please use Anaconda. It's user friendly. And if you got a PyCharm, that's okay. If you can utilize that one as well. And there are many other tools as well to use the Python application. So here we'll be using Anaconda Jupyter Notebook for showing the examples and everything. So as I selected launch, already being shown up over here. We got see localhost. So it's automatically connected to the Anaconda. So you got Jupyter. So there's an option like a new, okay, like, and this is Python version 3. But before jumping into this, I'll speak about some Python basics as well. But just trying to show that how does the screen shows and what are the different options within this screen. So there's an option if you want to write a code, there's an option to new and Python 3. Okay. This is the same screen which you've seen in this Google Colab. You'll see the same environment over here. And the same concept, like in 4 plus 5 or something, even if I use like a run option to run in, I get straightforward. But what's happening is this Jupyter Notebook, it's been running on my local machine, right? But here, over here, when I talk about Google Collab, it's running on this Google server. So Google has created a server and it gives the option for everyone to utilize the server, and it gives some memory for utilization, like mostly the 16 GB capacity, and beyond that it won't give, but it gives the GPU and CPU the concept like in graphical user interface also, you can utilize it. And just in case if you got more memory on a system, that's well and good. And even with the 4 GB RAM, you can start using Python. That's not a problem. But if you think that, okay, I don't have enough memory on my system, then start using Google Colab also, right? Straight away. So let's come to some more basics. If someone is totally new to Python and someone with a non-IT background or non computer science background, so I would say this bit of notes which I've created. So what are the different features and how it is different with the other tools? Okay. For example, so as I said, Python is again open source. The reason why people prefer Python nowadays is completely open source, and it's as I downloaded just now, right? It's free, and if it is a commercial purpose, it's a very cheaper price if someone is using for an IT industry. But if they are trying to use for learning purpose, it's totally free. You can just install Python and start using it and learning it. And coming to the word Python, Python is just a name given by the it's Rusum, right? I think you guys have known his name. Okay, let's go back to the PPT. So in the year something around 1989, 1990, Guido van Rossum, he's the one who created this Python long time back. It has got a wider history of more than 30 years, but many people uh, started hearing this word the past 10 years. Why? Because data science came into the picture, and many of you have heard of this data scientist roles and data science field, machine learning or deep learning, these things. So then people started coming up this buzzword Python. So Python has got a vast history. So here the advantage of learning Python, what I would say is you can use for many applications, not just one single applications. So either if you are like a web developer, you can utilize the skills in the web development skill set. And if you're like a normal developer, like if you want to utilize in like in programming side, you can utilize this. So it's end to end, especially it's one of these robust programming language, and it has got the graphical user interface also. Don't think that it's a programming or where is a graphical user interface. Yes, it has got a graphical user interface as well. That's where we will talk about in the last session of there's something called matplotlib and seaborn graphical user interface. Okay. And the best part is, for example, here if as a simplicity, it's very simple. As I shown you on the screen, it's very simple to use. It's not like complicated tools. It's very simple to use. The only thing is that here what you're going to learn is a tool, like different techniques, like in, for example, okay, someone has joined it. Okay, let me, I don't know. So if I show you the content, sorry for that. So if I show the content, so here we will be learning about lists, tuples, sets, dictionaries, operators, and different statements. You got if then else or loops, and we got something called numpy and pandas. We'll talk about that in the future classes. So these are all the different contents which we're going to cover. So here, uh, as I said, it's very easy to use and simple. So the only thing you guys need to know is what are the different operators which are going to be utilized in this, and how to utilize them in a proper way in the right direction. So that's what. And since this is a programming language, it's slightly different from C, C++. But if you already know C or C++, uh, those people will understand what I'm trying to say. But if non-IT background also, they can also understand it. Why? Because it's pretty straightforward. It's all related to the object-oriented programming. Once I say again object-oriented, since we talk about the data, right? So we play around data and we utilize the existing data and we try to come up with some solution. So that's where the object-oriented programming comes into the picture. So for example, if I'm saying 3 into 45 and say enter, so sorry for that. Okay, say run. So I get 135. It's not going to take so much of memory or so much of computing. So it's like an straightforward interpreted language. Okay, so we're not going to in depth of what are the things happen at the background, but at the front end you see these applications. Okay, so if you are totally new, don't worry. For example, if someone is already aware of Python and all, they can learn about more uh, on these applications. Like if you type in like python.org, this is where the actual site, like in Python site is. So this is the actual Python site. Mostly people start improve their code and they, it's like, as I said, it's open source. They update the code and they give it to the community, and then like in Python community, and once they are approved, they add it to the Python versions. So nowadays, as I said, it's very simple to use, right? So it's very simple to use and open source and portable. For example, if I've created program code today, and if I give it to, for example, Ian, so you can also run on his machine straightforward. You don't need to add in anything else, plug in. Straight away, you can start using this application, right? And extensible and embedding in the sense, if someone wants to use it for making the website, there's something called Python Django also. If they want to use it and embed this codes like in web applications, website designing, they can embed the code into Python and they can utilize it, right? And as I said, interpreted, that means it picks up the elements immediately and brings up onto the screen, right? So we're not getting the in depth of each and every term, but what I'm saying is what are the different features and advantages over here. And coming to the libraries, so the main advantage over here is utilizing the library. Someone has already created a library for some application. And for example, I'm working on a digital imaging project, right? I want to utilize an existing package, and then I want to run my additional code to it. Yes, well and good. So I can, it's like an reusable component. So I'm going to use the existing library, and then I can continue my code. So it has got multiple libraries in it. It's not like one and two. We'll come to know about this in the coming classes. And coming to the object oriented, as I said, is talk about the data, right? For example, it's a simple example. If you look at this example, like I got a car, right? I got a person who is driving it, and I got a garage. So this is all related tools, one to like in cars to relate to person relate to the garage. Okay, so it's like an interaction to each other. So this is what we are going to utilize a skill set, like in how we're going to interact with multiple database objects and how we're going to write a code. So that's what we're going to do is like an object oriented. uh, I'm going to share this document also. You can use a website over here, like in what are the advantages and disadvantages, but very limited disadvantages. But like it will be slow on the mobile. Why? Because the mobile needs more memory, but Python applications will be faster on the desktop and the laptops. That's an advantage. And what are the different industries which are being used? Like, and even Google does use Python at the backend. And Dropbox, Netflix, we got different departments in US. I'm not covering all the things, but especially I would say, for example, NASA or BitTorrent or US government, they all use Python, right? So coming to this learning path, I already gave the content list. Whatever I've shown here is a content list. So I'm going to share the content list also, different content lists. And coming to the career opportunities, someone says, okay, why should I learn Python? Is there any advantage of learning Python? And what will happen? So as I said, Python has been used in the web applications and the web testing, game developments. Nowadays, a lot of games coming to the market, and especially used in the AI and the data science, artificial intelligence and data science is it's a big, massive market in the nowadays. And coming to the big data as well, and says, okay, how Python can be used in big data in the sense, there's something called PySpark. Spark is a tool for the big data application, and Python and Spark has been combined together in this tool called PySpark. And if someone wants to get into depth of data science space, they can utilize PySpark there. And IoT devices, like in nowadays, a lot of interactive devices came to the picture, like in smart devices. So even in most of the smart devices, Python has been used. So it's not one particular applications, multiple applications, I would say. So this is what little bit of intro about Python. And coming to this session, I'll pause for 2 minutes and let me know if someone has got any questions so far. You can ask. You can unmute and you can ask. Okay. So if no one has any questions at the moment, so what I will do is I'll straight away jump into these bits and pieces. So at the moment, I already have a notebook which has already been set up, and I'm going to start the notebook to start digging into more examples. So let me jump into those examples straight away. Yeah. Okay. So let's begin with, I already gave this advantage of Python, and I already uh, explained to you like how different this Python application with other tools. So for example, assume like I want to generate a random numbers, right? Just trying to show a simple example like how well it's efficient is. I want to generate a random numbers like in mathematics array of 6 by 20 or something like that with this just 3 lines codes. Okay, and if I say run it, it can generate the random numbers within fraction of a second. So it's pretty straightforward. Like you're going to create random numbers quickly using the Python code. Okay, so what are the things which you are involved in it? So we'll try to learn in general, but just an example I'm trying to say. Okay, as I already told you, there's Python different versions. Current version is 3.9, and maybe it's some people use 3.0 also. It's not an issue, but for example, the current version is 3.9. If you want to know how do I know the version and all, just as I said, python.org, as I said. Okay. If I go to the python.org, you'll come to know, say the download version, the latest is 3.9.4 is the latest version. So it's been more than 30 years. So let's straight away jump into the list. For example, as I said, the normal syntaxes which we're going to cover, we talk about lists, and we'll see how far we are will cover for this tuples and sets, but we'll begin with lists and we'll begin with some operators, and then we'll come up with the other basic stuff. So let's begin with, for example, if you want to write like a simple, if you're familiar with the database as well and good, but here, for example, if you got like a product table, what will happen there? If you got a product, it says product name of the product, price of the product, and the quantity. Okay, these are all like an attributes, right? So here, for example, if I say the customer name equals to Asmita, I'm just trying to assign it to it, right? So here I need to put it within this, say the single quote or the double quote. And for example, if I assign says money equals to 100, it's like numeric, right? again, it says capital, it doesn't matter. And if I rerun the same thing, okay, so it has been assigned. Now we're assigned these values, right? Numeric and alphanumeric and alphabetic. So for example, if I type in what is customer name, right? So just run that. So it's giving the output like, oh, that is nothing but an Asmita. For example, money, right?
So
I'm
so you need to zoom a little bit.
zoom it. Okay.
Yes.
Is it okay now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or else I can.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So here, for example, if I whatever the uh, item, whatever selected, like customer name, and say run it. So I got the output in straightforward within fraction of seconds. And see, for example, I want to see is money. What is there inside it? Okay. Just type in money and then say run, right? So there are multiple options also, like in straightforward shortcuts as well to run it. But just in case, it's like it treats us within a cell. We can write the code, multiple lines of codes within a cell. But since we are starting with the basics, we are using single cells, right? So here in the same case, I got 100, why not 200? You would say the first, then I can insert a cell in between, right? And now if I copy this money into it, right? And now I run it. So this time I get 200. Why? Because it knows that, okay, what you're trying to run, right? For example, if you want to assign name 123 cast in equals to Asmita, right? And run it, it's been assigned. And the same case underscore name equals to Ion. So what happens is, so first element is trying to assign the value to it. And the second thing is, if you want to run it, for example, if I say underscore name and run it, okay?
So a little more zoom.
Little more zoom.
Yeah. Little more zoom.
Okay, let me try to.
And go for 150% or something.
Is it okay now?
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
better?
It's good.
It's
Yes.
better? Okay,
Yes.
that's fine. Okay, so for example, over here, the same case I'm repeating, selecting the element and this run it. So, okay, the same case. So here in the same case, what I'm trying to do is I'm assigning a value to it. And when I say run, okay, I get the value. Why? Because I've yeah, I've gone, it has gone to the next line, but same, I am. So there are a lot of keywords within Python, just in case you want to see what are the different terms which we'll be discussing in it. And roughly, if I say, don't worry about this, what it says import and all, we'll talk about this import command in the later classes. But see something called import keywords and says, and keywords dot keyword list and say run. That means these are all the different buzzwords or the keywords which we are going to utilize in Python frequently, right? So as I said, we can import the libraries. So we'll try to import the libraries into the existing code. So that is what we're trying to use over here. We might use the import command in multiple cases and multiple purposes. So that's for importing a library. And for example, let's go to the next step, like the data types. Okay. So here, as you already know, I've assigned a value to it, right? So here it's like an alphabetic. And here I've assigned like a number to it, money equals to 100 or something, number, right? So what's happening over here is int is like an integer. For example, a equals to 10. I'm assigning a value to it, integer. And float will be like if I say 10.5, it's a float value. It has got a decimals in it, right? So, and if I say string, and for example, here, name equals to Ion, it's a string. Of course, it's an alphanumeric, and if you got more number of characters, it will be like a string. I can assign more than one character, something like that. So I got a Boolean. I can talk about true and false. If I say, if I want to write a condition, if then else or something like that, then you can say, we can use Boolean. We do got a few other data types as well. We'll come to know to those steps as well. So even we got list, tuples, sets, and libraries. So we'll get to that portion. So for example, here I'm assigning like an a equals to 10, right? And print ID of this. So here what's happening is it won't show you the value assigned to A or B. It's showing the ID assigned at the back end, what's happening. For example, if I see A and say just run it, it shows a value to it, what are the value assigned to it. Okay, that's what it's happening. So we just need to be mindful that what we are trying to put in the over here in the each and every cell, right? Same case if I change the values like a C equals to 30 or print ID of C and D equals to 300 and all, the same case. So I'll run them. So the IDs are been assigned to those particular elements. When I say C and say run, it gives 30, right? So the D we're given as a value of 300. So it gives us 300. So for example, F I'm assigning to 550, right? So when I say F, what's the value in F? It says 550. So these are all the basic commands or like basic steps to understand like and how we're going to assign a value to it. Why? Because once I start writing the code, you might be thinking, okay, what is the value assigned to it and how it's been assigned? Okay. There are few other things within integers, like if you talk about the decimals, it's base, the binary and octal and hexadecimal you might have studied in a school at college life also. So here we're going to discuss about them as well. So for example, if I'm assigning like an A equals to 10, B equals to 20, C equals to 30, right? So if I want to say, if I want to print a value to it, if I say print A and B and C, so what is happening is I'm assigning the values and printing them. So 10, 20, 30, right? Same case, if I want to assign a value to it and say just in a single line, only A, I'm assigning it, right? So here coming to this, as I told you, like in binary values in octal and hexadecimal. So if I talk about what is this value, it converts to 15, that's a value, right? An octal, if I say equals to 777 and say A, so it gives a same value. But what I meant to say is, so here it's assigning it. Here I'm octal to again and changing to the set binary, binary value been assigned to it, and this converts to this normal integer, right? So here the same case, we got a base of 16 or the float, the same way it reflects. Okay, it converts into the normal digits and it shows an output. Okay, if there is an error, yeah, you will come to know that how that error will be shown. Here you can see the error message, also how to interpret the error message. So for example, let's finish off with the float and then complex numbers, and then we'll come to know. For example, as I said, the float value, it contains the decimals, right? So it's like in 68.72, I'm assigning to this value petrol, like run it, right? So here, if I can insert a cell in it and say, what is the value of petrol, right? So let's select it and say run it. So it gives a value. And coming to the additional steps like in complex, so I'm trying to do some sort of addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. There's all sort of things can be done on top of it, right? So this is what, when I say hash mark, that means it's a comment. If I put a hash to it, it's a comment. So that's a thing. If I remove the hash, that means it can be executable. So if I say x equals to 10 plus 2j, right? Type x is what is this type? It's like an type complex, but I haven't assigned any j value to it. Okay. If I assign a certain j value, then it will multiply j equals to 5 means 2 into 5, 10 plus 10, then 20 it will show. But here just trying to show you that what's assigned to. Okay. So just in case if you want to run a cell, okay, let's say the same case. If I put it over here, j equals to 10, okay, and x equals to 10 plus 2j, okay. I run this and say x, right? What is x? So it's been assigned to it 10 plus 2j, right? So yeah, I'm just trying to say what's been x contains is, right? So if I say it's 2 into j, then okay, let's run this and say 2 into j. That means 2 into 10, right? 20 plus 10 will be 30, right? This is what is happening over here. In the same case, for example, if I say a equals to true and b equals to false, so true and false, right? Like true is treating as 1 and false is treating as 0. Like 0 plus 1 will be, all right? So let's done it says 1, right? So here it's talking about the Boolean. When I say true and false, we talk about the Boolean, right? The same case, false plus false. As I said, here, if I give the comment over here, it says for true, usually it treats as 1, and for false, it treats as 0, right? So it says 0 plus 1 will be 1, and the same case is false plus false, right? If I run it, it will be 0, right? Why? Because 0 plus 0 will be again the 0. That's what it's happening. And for example, and it's like an operator. Like I just said, and this no other thing which is being assigned to it or something. Okay, let's go back to that. Yeah, they simply said and, but I have to give an expression something like that, or I have to assign something like that. Right? Then that's the reason it says value. Okay, and if you want to show you something like okay, 3 and 4, okay, and say run it. So what's happening between 3 and 4? It's give the error message, see? Invalid syntax. Why? Because it doesn't understand why we're giving the space or gap in between. Either I need to put an operator in it, like in 3 plus 4, and say run it. Okay. So then it says 7. Okay. Or else I say into or a multiplication in it, just like in calculator, and they run it, right? This is go to well. So without that, if I forget and say space only, then it gives the error message. You just need to understand it says, okay, invalid syntax. The syntax is not correct. That is what we're trying to explain here, right? The keywords we already seen in the beginning, or different keywords within this Python. So we are not bothered about that. So we'll come to know each of them one by one in the latest cases. But when we use if then else, we use else and if else and these things and say if and all. So we use them in each of these bits and pieces. So for example, here again, I'll take some more examples regarding the strings. I'm assigning like in Python training, a equals to Python training. I'm assigning value to it and say print. Okay, says gives the Python training. But if I remove the codes, what it will happen? Okay, if I remove the codes, so it should definitely throw an error message, right? It should definitely throw an error message. Why? Because invalid syntax. Either use the codes, let's say the double codes, right? So print of the Python training and says run it. I get the value. Either I can use the single or the double and say single quotes. Okay. So do not forget to use single at both the cases. Then I say run this. I get the values. So here also I got a codes, and within this again I will given the codes. So it won't impact. Why? Because it will treat as a string itself and it displays it. Okay. So for example, if I giving the within the codes like in Python by Raj and it's good and his material is all good or something like that, and if I run it, right, it displays it. And just in case if I remove the quotes and if I just run it, then it will definitely throw the error message. Why? Because I'm not putting any code or something like that, right? At least I need to use a code. And I think so here it's counting the number of codes at the back end. The front, we have got only one, and the back at the end we got 3. So let's give 3 codes. right? So it should be equal. So let's run this. So this is what happening with the strings, right? So let's, for example, as I said, Raj, and within the course classes or very example or something like that, say run it. So it's throwing an error message. Why? Because I forgot to enter the code, right? So that's the reason. So just with the syntax, just be careful, like what's happening, right? So the same case, if I'm assigning a value to assigning a string to a value, right? I run this, so I get a value and say what is a it is. Say run the code. Right. In the same case, now I assign as Raj, right? Which one it will take, whether it will take Raj or this existing. So that means the current string, whatever we are given, it's going to take it. So it doesn't take the existing string what has been assigned in the earlier stage. So just be uh, careful with this one, like in what it's trying to do, right? So next case, for example, we talk about lists. Okay, so the next step is we talk about the list. What's happened is, so Python list is an ordered and changeable collection of data objects. So that means what it is, I will discuss over here. List in the sense a set of items which you're assigning to it. For example, over here, so a equals to we are assigning the values, not just the values. Okay, let me see, we are not assigning just the values. Okay, I'll tell you what's happening over here. We are assigning a equals to gtech, for example, right? So when we are assigning gtech, so it will pick up in this uh, reverse order, right? So we got G and E and R. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, it's taking as, so I am. So hello. Yeah. So here, this here we are assigning this value to a equals to gtech. So when we select this list of -1 colon -6 and -1, can I explain them to them like why it's happening to us, giving the values of H, C, and T and E? It's going in this reverse order, right?
-1 basically represents the last alphabet of the string.
Yes.
So -1 is representing H. So
Yes.
when you're reading a string, you go with indexing 0 from the first alphabet. So G technically is 0,
Yes.
T is 1, and so on. But if you go from indexing in the reverse order, H, C is -2, E is -3, T is is -5.
Okay, so here if I say t equals to 1 and g equals to 0, t equals to 1, e equals to 2, and c equals to 3, and h equals to 4, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And if you're indexing from the reverse order, then H is -1.
Yes. Yeah. Got it.
We go that way with G.
Yeah. Yeah, that is right. In the reverse order, like in h will be like in -1, and here c will be equals to -2, right? And e will be equals to -3, right? E and then t will be equals to -4, right? So it goes beyond that. Again, it comes back to the cyclic order, right? Again, it says -6, right? So it goes in the cyclic order. So that's how it's giving up the results, right?
And when you do a colon and write -1 at the end, the list is reversed.
Yes, that's right. So it's like a G tech, right? So it's just the reverse of the string. It's trying to ping. Yeah, it's assigning the value to it 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And coming to the reverse order and showing her the reverse string, reversing the string. That's what it's happening over here. In the same case, I've include like -6, and then this means it's it's unable to pick it up. Why? Because we are not giving up these first letter. We are straight away saying this -6, right? So that's the reason it's giving us a blank. And just in case, if I say assign of colon -4, right, run. So as I said, 4 is it says 0 of or -4. Again, we're coming to the reverse order. That's the reason it's picked up as H or G, right? The same case of a -4, A of -4 colon, right? You just need to be careful at where you're going to put -4 at the beginning or at the end. If I say -4 over here, colon and -4 and run it, it says total blank. Why? Because it's not unable to capture the value where it has to start with. So let's rerun this. It's picking up the first value, right? Like in reverse order, like in t equals to, I think this should be like in -4. H, yeah, this is like in capital T. Okay, capital T. Yeah, let's pick up this capital T. So in the same case, if I say A of least -4 colon, so it's excludes the G, whatever the value, and it picks up the other values. That's what it's trying to say. So here, let's get into deeper. Like for example, list, you're assigning a value to it. For example, ages. I'm assigning a value to it. Okay, certain list of values, and say run this. Right. Let's say ages. Okay. So here it's giving 16. So those are nothing but the list of elements in it. Is that right? So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So it's giving this count. So that's what I'm, it's len is nothing but the length. That's what I'm trying to utilize here, length function. So I'm asking what's the length of this list, right? So if I say ages 0 to 10 and then -1, it doesn't give any values. Why? Because it's trying to uh, any idea and why it is giving us blank? Why? Because it's starting with 0 and giving to 10 and it's giving us -1.
So actually, because we are reversing the list and then we are finding from the 0th element to the 10th element. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
that's why it's not giving up anything.
Okay.
When you do a
I think
ages colon colon minus.
Ayan,
Yes.
can you go on mute on Zoom, and then I think you can speak over this one. Is it fine?
Yes.
Okay, okay, yeah. I was getting the echo to everyone. Sorry.
So actually, what happens is when you do a ages colon colon -1,
Mm.
it does not create like a new element. It just to display the list in the reverse order.
Yes,
So that's why this is basically showing an empty element.
that's right. Okay. So here, for example, ages of 9 colon -1. So let's run this, what it is trying to happen. So here we started with 9th element. So it's, as I said, starting with 0 and 9th element is a 12th, right? So it's 0 to 10, it will be, it's a 9th, 12th. And from there, it's going beyond, like in -1. It's going in the recursive direction. 12, okay. It's going in the reverse direction, 10, 12, 22, 23. Yeah. So this is how it's going to, like in reverse order, 10, 12, 22, 23, 23, 44, 32, 44, and 23. So until here. So this is how it's going to be. So if I say +1, it goes in the forward direction. So -1 is going the reverse order, right? The same case, if I say uh, ages of -1 colon 0 to -1, right? So what it is happening is it started with 33. So let's pick up where is 33. So here 33 is at the end, right? 32 and then 30. Okay, let's, how many 32s are there? We got here 33. Yeah, 30, 33, and then we started with 32. So here, and how do you say that you got -1 of 0 and -3? So what's happening over here?
we are starting from -3 from the end of the list.
Right.
So like -1, -2, -3.
Yep.
So 33 and -1 to 0.
Yep.
So -1 is 33.
Yes.
So the thing is, the last character, whatever you write, if you write -1, it would reverse. If you write -3, -4, even then it will reverse.
Yes. That's right. So minus is always just trying to bring in this
Yes.
reverse strategy.
If you add a negative value in the last element after the colon,
Yep.
it would reverse the list.
Yep. So that's what it's happening over here. For example, again, if I say ages, what's happening? So it gives the all the elements of the ages. Okay. So irrespective, right? Yeah. Just
And so it's
yeah.
actually added a step.
Yeah.
So the last element is 33. We
Yes.
start from -1 to 0, that is 33 to 21,
Yes.
with a step of 3.
Yep. So here mine is a 33 is like an end edge one, right? Right.
Yes.
So
Yes.
33
You skip
to
3 elements.
21. Yes, that is true.
Yes. You skip
21.
3 elements.
Yes. Skip three elements. This
Yes.
skip
So
the
we start with
uh,
30. We
okay.
start with 33.
Yes.
So we skip 54 and 43, and we get 32.
Yes.
Then we skip 22 and 21, we get 12.
Yep.
Then 22, 23, we get this 23 here.
Okay.
And again,
So
we skip that.
yeah, this is one of the example only, so no need to worry what's happening, but we will utilize this skill set in the further examples, like how the list can be fetched and how the elements can be fetched. So these are all the examples in the same manner, like an which element we are trying to show. That's what we are trying to say. Okay, for example, age of -4 and then colon, right? It started with a 32. Okay, and then it started with 43 and 54. Let's go in the reverse order. So 32 is over here. Versus 32. Yeah, 32. And again, four elements, right? It's a it says 32 and 43. Yeah, we got 43 over here and then 54. Yes. Uh, 43, 54, and 33. So here, yeah, this is what the sequence is happening. So it says -4, ages of -4. It's picking up these last four digits, right? So just in case, if I say instead of this -4, if I say 6, let's rerun this. What's happening? Okay, it started with 21. So here, what's happening here is, so if I want to read the last six elements of the list, okay, given as -6 and the colon, right? So it's starting with the 21 and all the last six elements. That's the reason if I say -4, the same case, ages of -4 and colon, say this last four digits, it's picking up, right? In the same case, ages of 12 plus, it's again this uh, just plus 12 I'm giving here, right? Ages of 12 plus. So here what's happening is, here we've got a 16 elements in it, right? When you talk about the 16th elements, so last one is 16th. So this is 12 plus 4 will be 16. So the last four elements is going to show here. So that's what it's happening over here, right? Just we need to be mindful that where we want to apply the skill set and what you want to fetch the data out of it, out of the list. That's what we are trying to pull the information over here. Okay. So we do have few more details which we need to cover, but at the end of the day, what I will try to say is we'll pause over here. And what I will do is I'll share this Jupyter notebook to you guys over the WhatsApp group, right? And also I'll share the presentations, whatever we've discussed, and also the notes, whatever I have discussed. And you guys can put in the queries and the comments and the questions in the WhatsApp group. and then we can get back to the session next week, and we'll see. And if you guys have feasibility to attend the classes on Saturdays and Sundays, let me know that how many people are able to attend for Saturdays and Sundays. Then we'll pick it up from there. Otherwise, if it's more only flexible on Sundays, then we can continue in the same manner. But this is what we are trying to explain. We still got a lot many things to cover, but at the moment, since it's the day one, we'll stop it over here. And if you guys have any questions, then you can post it on the WhatsApp. And I will also share this recording, whatever I've taken up this session today. And if you have any questions, you can post it on the WhatsApp as well, and you can drop by email as well. Okay. So let's stop the screen. So just a minute.